All right, Federer fans, just give it up. It's all over. Novak Djokovic is the GOAT, and Roger, he's just a bunch of hot trash.
Oh! Okay. Oh! Perfection. What a stunning way to seal it.
Today on Coffee Break Tennis, we talk about the big takeaways from the Masters in Shanghai. Of course, Novak Djokovic is the champion, and this also puts Djokovic in a position to be the leader on tour all time for big titles. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about the new bad news for Juan Martín del Potro. Sounds like his season could be over. And now we're hearing a lot of voices saying that Roger Federer will just simply be too old to do anything about Djokovic taking away his legacy as the GOAT. I will talk about that. All today on Coffee Break Tennis. Well, thanks for tuning into the show today. Mr. GOAT ran away because he just can't bear the heartache, even though he likes Novak Djokovic considerably more than Rafa Nadal. I, of course, am Matt Bradshaw, leader of Coffee Break Tennis, founder of Coffee Break Tennis, fastest growing tennis talk show in the world. Want to quickly remind you, our head sponsor, Crunch Time Coaching, the best place in the world for tennis instruction to work on your tennis game. Check us out on YouTube. I'm a part of that, of course, helping the great tennis teaching guru and genius founder of Crunch Time Coaching, Peter Freeman. Next week, or actually late this week, we will head to New Braunfels, Texas, John Newcomb Tennis Ranch to host TennisCon Part 2. If you play tennis, or even if you don't play tennis, click the link in the description down below this video. Get your free ticket to have all week long access. It is next week, starting Monday next week, all week long access to TennisCon Part 2. I'll be there. John Newcomb will be there. Rod Laver will be there. Paul Annacone will be there, former coach of Roger Federer, former coach of the Williams sisters, and Andy Roddick. Rick Macy will be there. All kinds of tennis players and coaches, legends of the game, will all be there at TennisCon Part 2, so make sure you click down below and get your ticket today. First up, the bad news. Well, it's all bad news if you're a Fed fan, but first up, I'm actually optimistic, just like Roger said. He's happy with how he's playing. I'm kind of happy with how he's playing, but we'll talk about that later. That's last today. First up, Juan Martín del Potro's rotten luck with injuries continued after it was revealed he's fractured his right kneecap. This is from Eurosport.uk.co.uk. The Argentine, who reached the U.S. Open final in Septiembre, picked up the injury after falling during his third-round match against Borna Coric at the Shanghai Masters. He retired after the first set. It's a very difficult moment. I feel very sad. It's a hard blow that leaves me without the strength, said Del Potro in a statement. I shouldn't do the voices. I'm sorry, Delpo fans. It's very difficult for me to think about recovery again, said Delpo. I did not expect this to happen. While the statement did not officially call time on his season, it is hugely unlikely Del Potro will recover in time for the ATP World Tour Finals in November. 30-year-old who is ranked 4th in the world after a sparkling revival this year is wearing a splint on his right leg. That is sad news for anyone who likes tennis. I know Del Potro is responsible for the beginning of the decline of Roger Federer this year after he beat him after Federer had match point in that final in Indian Wells back in March. But I love the gentle giant Delpo. Everyone who loves tennis should love Delpo. Very sad to see this. And like he said, just having to think about another long recovery, that's got to be tough on him. If you know anything about Del Potro, you know that he won the U.S. Open in a shocking upset 2009 over Roger Federer in the final. And then after that, it was pretty much all downhill. He just kept getting injured. I think his right wrist was acting up. Then his left wrist, he had multiple surgeries on the left wrist. And now he's got the knee thing. So let's all wish a speedy recovery for Juan Martín del Potro. The sport is definitely better off with him playing. Next up, the big news of the day. Novak passes Rafa on big titles leaderboard. What is the big titles leaderboard exactly? This is from the ATP World Tour website, atpworldtour.com. Djokovic claimed his 51st big title on Sunday at the Rolex Shanghai Masters. What is big titles? The four majors, one of the four majors, or one of the, 12 Masters events they have a year. Djokovic gets better and better this second half of 2018. 31-year-old Serbian won his 32nd ATP World Tour Masters 1000 title on Sunday at the Rolex Shanghai Masters, brought his big title haul to 51. Leapfrogging Rafa Nadal, who has 50 on the all-time big titles list, and Swiss Roger Federer leads Novak Djokovic by 2 big titles, putting him at 53. Of course, is the combination of Grand Slam, Nitto ATP Finals, and Masters 1000 crowns. So I think there's 12 Masters 1000s. And there's, of course, the one ATP World Tour Finals that Grigor Dimitrov won last year and will not have access to this year. Terrible. Feel so bad for my personal friend Grigor Dimitrov. This is definitely one of the best weeks that I've had in my career, said Djokovic. I've never played on faster courts here in Shanghai. So this year, more than ever, I need a lot of success with the first serves in. Djokovic was amazing on first serve. Part of why Borna Coric did so well and was able to beat Roger Federer in the semifinals is because he served the best he ever has. Lots of first serves in, first serves hitting the spots. I have a couple graphics to show you. When we talk about the Federer-Coric match a little bit later, we'll talk about that. But Coric was hitting the spots with his ground strokes and with his serves and was just phenomenal. Then he played Novak Djokovic, who was doing the same thing he was doing, except better. I think Djokovic won over 80% on first serves in that final. Djokovic has won 51 big titles from 170 opportunities. That's how many Masters and Majors he's played in his career. Conversion rate of 3.3. Nadal has a rate of 3.5 from 174 tournaments, while Federer has won a big title every 4.2 chances. That's 53 wins out of 220 attempts. Look, I think you're seeing the new Novak. I don't need to describe him. That's all I can say, said Djokovic. I had to reinvent myself and find the proper formula for success. I found it, and I'm just trying to hold on to it as long as I can. We've talked about in previous videos, if you look at a chart of the repeated footwork patterns of the big 3 players, Nadal, Djokovic, Federer, Federer is a V going inside the court, into the baseline. He's going forwards and sideways to cut off the angles of his opponent's shots and take the ball as early as possible to always attack. Greg Gruzetsky, a former player, commentates for, what is it, Sky Sports or the BBC. We have a thing from him for later in the show, but he talked about how playing that style from Federer, although it's potent, it's dangerous, it's difficult if you don't have very crisp footwork, if you don't have crisp timing. It's very easy to spray and miss a lot of balls playing that way. Nadal, he has a reverse V. He's backing away from the baseline, and he's playing a little more defensively. Novak Djokovic is a flat line, perfectly in the middle of Nadal and Federer. Just like Novak says here, I had to reinvent myself, find the proper formula for success, found it, trying to hold on to it as long as I can. That's what his formula for success is. He's taking the best of the defensive capabilities of Rafa Nadal and the best of the attacking capabilities of Roger Federer. He's not necessarily doing either one of them better than Roger and Rafa. He's just doing a really great job at imitating both of those styles of play and constantly going back and forth as needed. He is the ultimate, Djokovic, gotta say, the way he's playing right now, the ultimate example of turning defense into offense. And of course, Roger and Rafa, they do a version of this too. They're constantly, Rafa is more likely to fall back and Roger is more likely to move forwards. Djokovic is this perfect balance, and that's why we see it. It's a great game to try to play like. It's a great game to try to copy. Borna Coric has even admitted as much that his whole thing has been trying to imitate the way that Novak Djokovic plays. So it was pretty cool to see them play each other in the final because you could totally see they were trying to do the same things to each other. Of course, Djokovic is just better at it.
I invented it! What have you done? You've done nothing!
So when you see Federer play other attacking style players, Federer usually has a very easy win over them because he's just so much better at doing what they are trying to do. With 2 more big titles up for grabs in 2018, that would be the Paris Masters, which is coming very soon, and that would be the World Tour Finals at the end of the year. Novak has a chance to finish the year on top of the big titles leaderboard and on top of the ATP rankings, world number 1. Right here, the record is Andre Agassi, who went from number 14 in May 99 to the top spot at the end of the year. Novak, number 22 on May 21st to number 1. Roger, I believe, was ranked 18 at the beginning of 2017 and number 2 at the end of the year. Just got to say that. So let's look at the actual records. So the big titles. It's funny because as I was reading this, I was thinking, Roger has skipped a lot of Masters in his career. Part of that is just not to get burnt out, to try to get ready. Obviously, he's done it a lot more recently than he used to. He's skipped all the clay Masters for a few years now. Federer, 20 majors out of 74 attempts. 6 World Tour Finals out of 15 attempts, 27 Masters 1000s out of 131 attempts. One of the ones that's glaring things here is Rafa Nadal's 0-8 at the World Tour Finals. Ouch. Another thing that surprises me here is that even though Federer has played 5 years longer, he's only played about 19 more Masters 1000s than Rafa in 5 years. He's only played 26 more Masters 1000s than Novak Djokovic in about 5-6 years more time on tour. But Roger never misses the majors. The majors have always been the most important to him. 74 versus 55 for Djokovic, 53 for Rafa Nadal. Only problem with this thing is that the Masters, I know they're big tournaments, the ATP World Tour Finals, I know they're big tournaments, but no, it's no comparison. Grigor Dimitrov would happily give back the checks, give back the trophies from the Cincinnati Masters 1000 win last year and the World Tour Finals win. His 2 biggest wins of his career, he'd happily give both of them away for just one major. So Djokovic taking over the big titles thing, I don't buy it because everyone who loves tennis and knows anything about tennis knows that the big titles are the 4 majors, and Roger has 20, Djokovic has 14, Rafa has 17. But of course, comment below. Do you think those Masters 1000s are so important that this means Djokovic is the new GOAT? Let us know. I think it's definitely a big accomplishment, and congratulations to Djokovic, but that's not what makes you the GOAT. It might help, but it's no more important than the winning head-to-heads. Now, Djokovic does have a winning head-to-head. He's 2 ahead of Roger, but technically he's really only 1 ahead. They were even. One of those was a retiring walkover. Roger, remember that year at the World Tour Finals? Was it 2014 maybe? Novak has always had Rafa's number. Novak has the lead in their head-to-head as well. But nobody cares if Novak doesn't pass their numbers in the majors. And that's the bottom line here. And that's what leads us to this Greg Rusedski stuff. So lots of tennis experts and pundits out there. Here, Peter Bodo over at what was he on? ESPN, tennis.com, both, something like that. Plenty of people. You know it. You've heard it. You've seen the comments on the tweeters. You've seen them all over the place. Think that Novak is destined to be the GOAT no matter what. And yeah, at the rate he's winning this year, it looks like that. Now, we all know a lot of things can happen. This is what it looked like a couple years ago when Novak had been winning everything for a while and then went into a period of winning nothing for 2 very long years. So who knows what can happen. But Djokovic is definitely playing like the best player in the world right now. I will give him that. Rafa's been good this year. Roger's been good this year. The next gen doesn't look like they're in a position to stop these guys yet. Borna Coric, big win over Roger Federer. I still feel like Roger Federer is going to have a great chance to beat Borna Coric if they run into each other again anytime soon. Maybe 5 years from now, Coric will have a major upper hand. Anyways, Greg Rusedski said, the thing you got to look at is when you look at Federer and Djoker's games, you notice that Novak, 2-handed backhand, one of the best in the world. He returns better than anyone on the planet. Then you look at the movement on offense from Novak. He's been able to transition both those ways better as well. That's what I was talking about earlier, that line in the middle footwork pattern. He's so good at moving back to defend. It's really hard to hit a ball past him, especially on a slower court. Since all the courts have been slowing. Oh, I meant to grab that for you guys. If I can find it when I'm editing, I'll put it on the screen right now. Even look at Shanghai. Shanghai is slower this year compared to last year when Roger beat Rafa in the final. Now, I don't know if that's because the actual court was just built up a little slower this year, or if that's the fact that the weather was a lot cooler this whole week. Last year, if you look at the weather trends from last year, the week was warmer, even going into the evening. Since Roger played late, he was last on every day. Colder weather, it was always about 63 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm sorry for the Europeans and metric system people, but I don't understand what Celsius is at all. I don't get it. The numbers make no sense to me. It's about 63. I think last year the temperature was always in the 70s, so it was about a 10-degree drop during the daytime when Djokovic played. You know, we appreciate Fed fans in Asia and China that want to give Roger the last person on. He's the headliner of the show. I get it. That's great. But the fact is, it doesn't help him. Part of why he likes Shanghai is because the ball moves through the court so fast. It's easier for him to create offense, to hit winners, to force errors. And when you get a 10-degree dip, it's just slowing the ball a little bit. It's taking away that edge that makes this tournament special for Roger Federer. Even if it's only taking 50% of it away, it's still taking some of it away. I think that hurt Roger all week long. I think that's why he had a little trouble putting away some of these guys. I mean, he wins the matches, but if you win in straight sets, You feel more confident. You have more energy in the tank. If you win in 3 sets, it can kind of wear you down if you do it enough, especially in the Masters format where it's 1 week, 6 matches, 5 for top seeds. So you don't get rest days like you do at the majors. This is a step up in class, and Coric can now mark himself against, to me, the best player on the planet right now, said Ruzetsky. Then he explained why Federer may be more tired than usual and why he had many ups and downs this year so far. Federer plays this style of tennis for the last 2 years where you really hug the baseline. You have to move exceptionally well. If you're fractionally off with that sort of stuff, movement, timing of the ball, you're going to miss a few balls. Physically, it's extremely demanding because it's sprinting always into the corners. And players on the circuit will start to talk, what do we have to do against Roger to counter his style of play? Now the players are adding more variety, going into the Federer forehand, going into the body, doing these things that are a little bit more difficult for him to handle. It's a combination of the tour getting smarter and Roger being 37 years old. Thanks for your input, Greg Ruzetsky. So let's talk a little bit about the match. Roger Federer said in the press conference after he lost to Borna Coric that he's happy. He's hitting the ball well. He's happy where his game is right now and optimistic about what he can do. And I have to admit, I feel the same way. I had a story about, did you see the Nishikori quarterfinal for Federer? Robbie Koenig of the Tennis TV said that this is the best we've seen Roger play since probably the Australian Open when he won his 20th major back in January. The one-handed backhand, Federer was attacking just like he did in the best of 2017. It was great to see. He tried to do some of that against Borna Coric, and first off, Borna Coric played great. He played just like Djokovic. He served, look at the serving pattern. This is the spots. I always talk about how Federer hits these outer portions of the box, right? Stays away from the middle of the box unless you're intentionally going at the body. So you're getting wide, you're getting the tee, and you're getting deep in the box, or you're getting off the court short angles when you hit this outside box. Look how much Coric was hitting it. Look at Coric's ground strokes. Forehands, always been the weakness for Coric, was the weakness for Djokovic. Well, Djokovic worked on his forehand, worked on his serve. Coric did the same thing, worked on the forehand, worked on the serve. Cross-court, forehands and backhands, Coric is getting lots of depth on his shot. So Federer's style of play, just like Ruzetsky was saying, if you're a little off, well, if your opponent is blasting balls deep and doing it the whole match, it's going to be really hard to create any opportunities to attack. But what does Roger Federer do historically in these kind of situations? He holds serve no matter what. Roger Federer still leads the tour in all kinds of stats on serving. Federer is winning a higher percentage on second serve than anyone on tour this whole year. Now, maybe that's trended down, and that's counting some numbers from back in January. Maybe it's counting numbers from the Australian Open. Maybe that's counting numbers from Rotterdam. Now, maybe Roger's trending down a little bit from that. Second serve kind of struggled in this match, in this whole tournament. But he still didn't play that poorly against Borna Coric. It was more that Coric played great, and Federer had 2 fatal games that happened to come in the beginning of the first and second sets. In the first game of the first set, Federer serves and I don't think he made a single first serve. He may have at love 15 down. I think Roger may have made 1 first serve there. But other than that, Federer puts no first serves in. The timing on his forehand looks a little off. His swing looks a little tentative. Federer has looked a little uncomfortable on the forehand throughout the tournament. After that, Federer is able to hold serve the entire set. The only problem is he only wins 9 points on return for the entire match. Now, part of that is some troubles from Federer, sure, but a lot of that is Borna Coric played the best match of his life. So, it's easy to say, if Roger had won that match against Coric, Djokovic doing the same things Coric did, but doing them even better, Federer surely will lose to Djokovic. But here's the thing, how much better can Djokovic play than Coric was playing? I think the biggest difference is Djokovic will come up with similar shots that we saw Coric hitting. He will just sustain it longer. And that's why it was such a bad matchup for Borna Coric in the final against Djokovic, because they're doing the same things to each other. And early on in the first set, it was a long match for a straight sets win. The match is, what was the score? Federer's 6-4, 6-4, he lost, and then Djokovic wins 6-3, 6-4. Almost identical score lines. Of course, the one match a lot longer than the other. Lots of long rallies. Basically, Djokovic was able to sustain it longer than Coric could. Coric got frustrated, felt like he couldn't hit through Djokovic. He fell for the trick that he tries to put on people, right? Coric is trying to play out Djokovic. He's trying to contain your aggression, get everything you hit back, and constantly put pressure on you when he can. Well, it doesn't work against Djokovic because Djokovic is a little bit better at putting the pressure on and a little bit better at containing your aggression, containing your best shots. And Coric kind of lost it mentally in some key points where he just I can't get the ball past this guy, made way more unforced errors than he did against Roger Federer. Now, maybe if Roger Federer played that way, he could have done the same thing that Djokovic did to Coric, but Federer is not going to try to just sit back and contain you. Again, Djokovic does that. He also attacks a lot. That's why Djokovic didn't have his serve broken the entire run of this tournament. He was winning ridiculously high numbers on his first serve, doing well on second serve as well. But what Federer does is never let you get a rhythm. Federer is constantly attacking you and putting you under more pressure, not by making you feel like your best shots can't do anything, but by basically taking the racket out of your hand and hitting great shots past you before you can hit any great shots. He doesn't want to let you feel success too much in the match. Federer did plenty of this. Federer did great. I believe Coric had a slight edge in the points under 4 shots, the short deciding rallies that dominate the match. Didn't get way ahead of Federer on that. Thing is, Roger Federer is still capable of playing this very high level. He did it against Nishikori. Some people think he's too old to have the energy to do it through a whole tournament. I think the reason why we've seen Federer win the Australian Open the last couple years and do so well at Wimbledon is because of that super crucial training block, the Federer training block, the 4 weeks, the 1 month, December and part of November, so a little over a month, where they focus on getting the body physically fit and tough rather than just focusing on hitting tennis balls. It's the one time of the year. All the players do this. It is so crucial for Roger Federer. I still think, I talked about it earlier, the weather was cooler this week, so the ball was a little, especially at night. Federer was playing in low 60s. Djokovic was playing in the 70s when the sun was out. When we go to Australia, that won't happen. Australia is going to be hot. There's not much humidity there, and it's a fast court. It's going to play even faster than Shanghai did this year. Federer will have that going in his favor. Djokovic, we know, even when he plays well, Federer's been able to torch him in Cincinnati when Federer is playing well. I'm not going to sleep on this yet. I realize that Djokovic is the best right now, and I don't think there's really anyone who can stop him at the moment or in the near future besides Roger Federer. That training block is going to be so crucial to get the fitness foundation that Roger Federer needs to go into the Australian Open, make it through the matches to a final, face Novak Djokovic, most likely that's who will be there, take advantage of the fastest court in the world on the ATP World Tour to stop Novak Djokovic from taking his name, the GOAT.